Good afternoon, Charlotte.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining me today on today's lunch and learn session. Today it will only be the two of us. Unfortunately, the other attendee had to cancel, so they won't be joining us, unfortunately. Okay. I sent you some information before with regards to today's session.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I sent you all a YouTube video to watch a little short video on what facilitation is all about. Okay, so we're going to do a little icebreaker today, just to get to know each other a bit more. We obviously work closely together, but just to break the ice for today's session. Yeah, so what we're going to play is two truths and a lie. Have you heard of this before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to tell you two truths and a lie about myself. Okay? So, here we go. I am a father to two daughters. Okay? I work with my company that I work with now. I've been with them for 13 years. Okay? And I was chased by an anaconda in Brazil. Which one do you think is the lie?
I think it's the last one.
The last one?
Yeah.
I think that was a dead giveaway.
Okay. My first one is I do not like tea or coffee.
Okay.
My second one is I've been camel riding.
Okay.
And my third one is I am grade 7 on the piano.
Oh, which one is a lie? I think number 2, camel riding.
That is actually correct. It's the first one. I do not drink tea or coffee.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so little bit of guidelines for the session today. As you can see, the session is being recorded. This way we can share it with the other attendees that were supposed to attend today. And also we can use it as a reference to go back to and just overlook and see what we have learned today.
Okay.
I just asked that all our phones is on silent. If you are expecting any important calls, let me know. We can pause the session. You can take the call and we'll continue once you are done with your call.
Okay.
The session shouldn't take any longer than 15 minutes. I've also, like I mentioned before, so I sent you two bits of information prior to the session today. It was the YouTube video that you should have watched if you had time. And also I sent you an infographic on the session today and how it's going to go. Okay. Do you have any questions?
No?
No?
I don't.
Okay. So I asked that if we have any questions during the session, if it's something that urgently needs clarification so that otherwise you can't move on or your understanding is not that clear of what we discussed, you may ask. Otherwise, you can just keep the questions until the end of the session.
Okay.
If that's okay with you. Yeah? Okay, so the objective for this session is to develop an understanding of facilitation techniques in the classroom. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So what is your understanding of facilitation and what facilitation is in the classroom?
My understanding of what facilitation is would be how an instructor or a teacher aids the progress of the people that they're teaching, and what things they can put in place, what strategies they can put in place in order for them to make as much progress as possible. Okay,
yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. So I have a bit of a description here of what facilitation is. Okay, so it is a technique used by trainers to help learners acquire, retain, and apply knowledge and skills. Participants are introduced to content and then asked questions while the trainer fosters the discussion, takes steps to enhance the experience of the learners and gives suggestions. Yeah. So we're there basically just to guide the learners, yeah, with the knowledge that they have, to help them retain it, and also where they might need brushing up on their knowledge, yeah. So I'm just going to ask you to just write down before today's session what your understanding, or where do you think your understanding is about facilitation
And the techniques.
and the techniques of facilitation.
Okay.
Just take 2 minutes and then we'll continue. Yeah? I'll just take a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to share these with you?
Yeah, share, read it out for us.
Okay, so the two that I'm aware of is like active questioning in order to like develop critical thinking,
Okay.
and also group work and sort of like collaboration and how it can assist like problem solving skills.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Those are good ones as well. Okay, so these a few more, and that's why we're having the session today, just so that we're all on the same page when it comes to our facilitation skills. We're all going to have different methods and our different own style, but just so we have the majority of it, we can be on the same level.
Okay.
Some understanding. So provided some learning resources. I provided you with a YouTube link and the infographic. I'm also going to send out the survey after the session, so we can just see what you've gained, what knowledge you gained, and what skills you gained after the session. Yeah. So facilitation skills. Obviously, you mentioned those two. I think the most important facilitation skills is to, like you mentioned there, questions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the type of questions is open-ended questions, right? When we're asking our questions, we don't just want yes or no answers. So, do you understand what is open-ended question?
So a question where it's kind of like you're asking someone a question and you want them to explain and expand.
Yeah.
You don't want them to just say, as you said, yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So questions like that starts with who, what, where, how. These are all open questions, yeah? So
Okay.
if you ask someone,
It's almost like saying like, let's say a cup of tea, instead of saying, do you put the water in the cup first? That's not an open-ended question, because the answer is yes or no. So it would be what is the first step?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the example which I was just thinking of, did you have breakfast this morning?
So that would be
yes,
I did.
Yeah. Instead we'll ask, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Oh, I had decided to have cereal, or I decided to have. Why did you decide? And then you can build on those questions.
How did you make breakfast?
Yeah. So this is obviously simple, but this is how you kind of build the conversation.
To add more like levels of depth and detail.
Exactly. Okay, so as a facilitator, our role is to be the guide, like we mentioned previously. Yeah. So you're there to guide your learners, and it's not for you to be the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what we mean by that is you don't need to show how good you are. You're just there to guide the group for them to get the best outcome. Yeah. Get their best outcome. So sometimes, yes, it's good to share our experiences because people learn from that as well. But remember, you don't want to come across as the hero, as we said. We need to guide them, right? Next is time management. So do you think that this is important when facilitating a session? Time management.
Yeah, I think it's important. Because I think that if you go over the allocated time, maybe like concentration, that can be affected. Perhaps like your attendees can be a little bit bored, they switch off.
Yeah.
So I think maybe time management is quite important in that respect.
Yeah. And also when we're training our colleagues, they have their work and things like that they need to get back to, which is also important to them. So sometimes they might already be hesitant to come to the session. So what you wanted to do is to be short and impactful, like you said, you don't want to lose them, their attention. So with sessions like this, when you are letting them, basically, you just need to facilitate it, they can get carried away, right? So you need to be able to move the group along when they get stuck on certain topics, and when you feel that these topics are not very or relevant, and they're getting sidetracked.
Okay.
Yeah. Circular discussions. Do you know what circular discussions is?
I don't.
So it's kind of the same as I mentioned now, where they are getting distracted with topics that are kind of not very relevant. So they'll have a little circular discussion that is not related to the topic.
Okay.
Right? What you could do in that case is what they do call is the parking method. So you take whatever they're discussing, but which is not relevant or related to the topic at hand, and you put it up on the notice board. And all you tell them is, guys, we'll park this here for now, and we'll come back to this later
if we have time
at the end.
Okay.
Yeah? So you're not completely dismissing what they are discussing, because it might be important to them, but it might just not be related to what we need to get covered or need to get done.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need to keep the energy levels high always. Yeah. As you said, they can get demotivated, distracted, and kind of they want to get back to work or other things. So remember, keep the energy level high. And ways to do that if you do have time. Do you have any techniques that you normally use or that you would think of?
To keep them engaged. I mean, I think the icebreaker at the beginning is always good.
Yeah.
Maybe having like a hook, almost like a quick, snappy activity at the start.
Yeah.
Also like having like a variety of maybe different types of activities, like you said, are like short and impactful.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, so if you see sometimes if people come to a session after a break, they might be a bit sleepy or tired. This is maybe a perfect opportunity. You don't necessarily always have to do the icebreaker in the beginning of the day. You could also have little icebreakers in between the session as well. And you could also do little energize activities where you get them to have a little walk around, or a little run around, or jump around, or just do something to get their energy levels up again.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's something good to think about. So another skill is effective curbing of team politics and groupthink. So this is kind of very similar to circular discussions. Together or alone, get people to write their ideas down and later present it to the team. Yeah, so if there's maybe some discussions, or you could maybe just curve that to the side and get them to then present it later to the rest of the team. Yeah. The next one is dealing with troublemakers. Okay, so do you have any ways of dealing with troublemakers in your session?
I mean, I guess that's maybe an area that I should focus on more.
Okay.
Because off the top of my head, no, I don't really have any good techniques that work.
Okay. So I won't say there's always going to be troublemakers, but they do tend to arise every now and then. And these are normally the people that are skeptic of your session, or skeptic of what we are trying to achieve or train them on, or maybe they just have a different outlook on the topic. So best way to do or to get them on board is to get them involved, and just get them to assist you with what you need to do, so basically give them some sort of authority as well.
Almost like give them like a role.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good technique to use with troublemakers when you have them in the session. Yeah. So the next one is give clear instructions. Yeah. So just because you understand something or how to do it, doesn't mean everyone else understands, yeah? So be clear on what you want them to do, why you want them to do it, and how you want them to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so just be clear on your framework. And then the last one here is be ready to adapt. Okay, so remember, things can always go wrong. So many things. Your room could not be right, your
Maybe my
projector.
software's not working.
Yeah, so sometimes you come in the rooms and the projectors aren't working if you're intending to use a slide. So
the video doesn't play.
Yeah, you know, anything could go wrong. So just be ready to adapt in situations like that. Okay, so those are the facilitation skills that we want to discuss today.
I actually feel like I've come away from this like with quite a few new techniques that I can use.
Yeah. So looking back at your little note that you made, do you think that you've added some skills to that?
Yeah, I mean, I originally mentioned about active questioning, but to add to that, like you went into a bit more detail about open-ended questions and gave me some examples of that. The Parker method, and I'll definitely be able to take away some ideas from dealing with troublemakers in my sessions.
Okay, that's good. So, just to look at our objective again, to develop an understanding of facilitation techniques in the classroom. Do you think we achieved that? That you have a better understanding now?
Definitely,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, so at our next meeting, I'd like to have a review meeting in 2 weeks' time, and I just want to see how we have implemented these into our sessions. Yeah. So if you can come back with some ideas on how it went for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Just to end our session today, I just want to read a little quote for you from Carl Rogers, and it says, "We cannot teach another person directly. We can only facilitate his or hers learning." Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Thank you, Sean, for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.